Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia. Welcome to our faction preview videos for the upcoming Amazon DLC for Total War Troy. And as you can see here, we have Princess Leia selected. And what we're doing in terms of our faction previews for this upcoming DLC is there will be two separate days where we will feature Princess Leia today and Hippolyta tomorrow. So Princess Leia will have 3 videos dedicated to her. This one, just highlighting what is new in her campaign mechanic, and then we'll have a separate one covering her skill tree, and then another one covering her army roster, as the new army structure for the new Amazonian factions are quite unique and very interesting, and definitely deserve an in-depth look. So, first things first, what we will do here is just take a good look at the start. We will not be playing the game at all. After these 2 days of previewing the new mechanic, I will also do 2 days of previews where we will take each faction for a little spin, play about 20 turns or hour, give or so, and see how they play out. And once we hit the 24th on the official release date, I'll be kickstarting a brand new Let's Play campaign. And I've already decided we're playing Princess Leia because she is just much more interesting than her older sister. So, what makes her interesting? Well, first things first, we start out all the way in the northeast corner of the map. This is the Black Sea, and this is the Sea of Marmare, and coming into the Aegean, we're starting in an area where no one else starts at. None of the other factions start out over here. So that's already a plus. And then, the other bonus is we are what's called a Horde faction. And Horde factions are super interesting. If you have never played any Warhammer games or Attila, you might not be familiar with the concept of Horde factions. Horde factions are factions that roam around the map, and they basically function as an army unit without the ability to take any settlements. I know some of the previous Horde factions in Total War franchises sometimes allowed you to take settlements, but then pass them on to other factions to manage. But in our case, we are simply not allowed to take any settlements. Any settlement we fight, we have to raise. And that's pretty much all we can do with settlements. And this also means we have almost no production. So how do we deal with that? Well, first things first, if we take a look at any settlement, let's say this one right next to us, you can see there's a new symbol here. This symbol is called a war spoil. And you can see that this will grant us 8,802 food if we raise this settlement. And that's on top of whatever the settlement carries in terms of the raising cost. So there's usually a benefit when you raise a large amount of resources, and you will still get that when you raise these cities. But in addition, if they have a war spoil symbol, I'm having trouble pronouncing war for some reason. If they have that symbol, it means you can get certain bonuses. And you can check War Spoil here and symbolized by a scout, because these are your outriders, which will go out and scout in areas near you. So having vision is very important, as you can see these symbols on the map. And you can kind of click on these to find the nearest one. So the nearest food is right here. And we have food for 8,802 food. We have wood for 2,074, stone for 216, and bronze for 5,530, which is actually quite surprising because I thought bronze would be similar to stone. But I think the reason why we don't get a lot of stone is because we have very little use for them, whereas bronze can be spent for units. Lastly, gold 119. And then we have favors from all the gods and goddesses. And you can see here, if we see one of these symbols, it's worth 600 points, which will automatically boost us over to the warship limit. Now it will decay, as will other factions, but you have 1 turn of the warship benefit. And the warship benefits are still the same. It's same as any base game faction. So some of them that's more managerial focused, such as, Aphrodite's and Hera, maybe you don't need them for this faction because you're not going to be managing any land. You're going to just be a roaming army. So perhaps follow the examples of real life Amazons and only pray to Ari or Artemis, which is not here yet, but there is a Artemis DLC in the pipeline, so hopefully we'll see that one day and there'll be another goddess added into the list for us to pray to. But in the meantime, maybe focus more on your military side of things. Now, of course, you don't get to actually choose because you need to find them on the map. And aside from those, you have special ones that one will earn you battle glory. This is a faction unique resource that you can acquire. We'll talk about this very soon. The other part is special units, unique recruitment. Because you can't gain these by capturing their settlements or their province where the special recruitment's allowed, you can just raise these special icons once you find them in the special recruitment provinces. And once you raise that settlement, you gain access to a special recruitment pool, a global one. Well, technically all your recruitment is global because you can recruit wherever you move around. And then you can gain access to centaurs, giants, harpies, as well as sirens. The one here is vision. This will just reveal more of the map for you to plan out your attack ahead. So that's how war spoils work, and that's a very fun part of the game. Now you might think, well, what am I going to do if I can't build anything? After all, we like to build and manage stuff. Well, luckily for every army, there's such things called a horde building, as you have a war tent. So as we can see here, this is actually quite similar to an actual settlement. You still have your main building, which is this war circle into a war tent. That can all be upgraded all the way to Amazon Horde, and this structure will give you increased experience to all troops, replenishment rate, as well as increase to your recruitment capacity, how many units you can recruit per turn. And also will increase your Horde growth, which was factored into your population surplus, which helps you upgrade these main buildings, and that's pretty much the only use for growth here for your factions. And then you have a group of military buildings because you still need these to upgrade your units, and we'll talk about units upgrade separately a bit later. And we're not really going to look into each detail. This is not a buildings guide. We'll definitely do one of those for the Amazonian factions because they actually do have slightly more unique buildings in terms of their military and how it functions into the upgrade system. So one day we'll cover those, but for now we don't actually need to look at the details. We just need to know what they're used for. Then for administration, we have different versions, but we still get access to the special agents, which are very powerful. So we have one line here that can give us spy, and then another one that can give us envoy. And we can still recruit these agents, as well as priestesses, and we can still build temples. There's nothing against us building these altars and temples as part of our tent, because they don't have to be actual temples. They can just be a little altar that you pray to. So that's kind of how the building structure works for us. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple, and as you upgrade this, you should get more building slots to allow you to choose which ones to get. I believe you'll get all of these eventually, or maybe the same 8. I don't know why they give you 2 more if you're not allowed to build up this much, because you do need to build your military buildings to get access to your high tier units, so you're not really gaining any production. Notice there's no resource buildings because this is basically functioning as a capital settlement. And you don't get commandments either, so you're missing a lot of stuff, and you're not going to be able to function very well economically unless you keep taking land and burning down towns. And then we have something called our Horde Army, which is what we see here, and you can recruit units. And one thing that's really awesome about how they did the Amazonian recruitment is you can only ever recruit basic units. These 5 are your basic Amazonian units. And if we come into what's called the initiation rites, you see the progression system. So here are the 5 units you can recruit. And once they gain up to rank 4, so gaining battle experience, once you hit rank 4, you can spend a certain amount of resource, as you can see, to upgrade them to a stronger unit, the tier 2 units. And this all requires rank 4, and once you upgrade, you lose all your rank. So they become a fresh new unit in your army. And then you need to train these units up to rank 5, and then you'll be able to upgrade them to your top tier units. your tier 3 units, and some of them cost a lot of resources, and that's why you see why we need a lot of gold, a lot of food, and potentially also a lot of bronze if we're going for some more heavily armored units, which is why raiding certain bronze settlements will give us a ton of bronze versus the amount we get for stone, which really will not see much use. So this also means if you lose a unit, let's say we recruited this very awesome mounted huntress, which is just kind of amazing because you also have abilities on multiple units. And don't worry, there will be a separate video later today that will cover this in greater detail. We'll showcase this in a custom battle. I'll have them all laid out so you can see how the progression work for each individual unit and what abilities you have on each of them. And the cool thing is, what we're talking about the danger of the army is, let's say you have a pretty amazing unit, and let's say that unit happened to have Unbreakable, because I know there's a couple that have Unbreakable, maybe not in this army, but for Hippolyta, which focus more on defense, definitely have Unbreakable units. And your Unbreakable unit gets wiped out on the battlefield. Then it's very sad because you have to go back to tier 1 and train someone all the way up again. So it's definitely changed the way you play your battles, and especially for horde factions. Let's say this army, we lose this first battle, we get wiped. That's game over. There's no settlement to recruit a new army. You lose your last army, it's game over. So how do we prevent that? Well, if you go to your horde buildings, you can recruit more heroes. So you have access to other heroes that can create other horde armies, but hordes are very proud. They're not willing to assist each other. So horde armies will not be allowed to reinforce or be reinforced. You're on your own. Each horde is on their own. And as Penthesilea, you can't recruit any defenders. You see new artworks for all the different classes, but basically no defenders. It's the same as the base game. One of the class will be locked out for you. And we can also recruit our agents here, and epic agents are also available once we have the necessary buildings. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much how the horde faction works and mechanic. The only mechanic we haven't talked about is the Blood Oath, which is our unique mechanic. And Blood Oath is where we spend our battle glory. So we acquire battle glory by winning battles, of course, and certain options after a battle, like releasing enemies or murdering them, will give us different amount of additional battle glory. And once we have a certain amount of battle glory, we can unlock it. So this will spend this to unlock, of course, but the total accumulation will stay. So once you unlock this one, you get a better one that will take its place, and you acquire a higher amount. You have to unlock that one as well. And what this does is it will give you this unit. And this Bloodsworn Warband will come to your aid in your battle. It'll be an additional army slot, basically. And here you might get one because you're on your first tier. And once you unlock more and have higher battle glory, which we can see here, right? You can see this is bar shows your battle glory. Right now we have 0, but let's say we have up to 200. And then we summon 3 Blood Oath units. If we have it over 300, you have 5, and then you have 9, and then at max, I believe it keeps going. I believe this will shift as you keep growing your battle glory, because 350 is nothing. Our victory condition for our whole faction, if we take a look at, where's the objective? There we go. The Homeric victory is 5,000 battle glory. So 350 is nothing. This bar will just keep going as you get more battle glory. And I believe at the maximum, you get another 20 stacks of your Blood Oath units, giving you basically a reinforced army. And the quality of the troop will increase as you keep unlocking them. So just keep stacking your total battle glory, unlock them, have more of better units, and that can complement your playstyle as you keep going in your war, because oftentimes you're not going to have all your units upgraded. And that's pretty much it for what makes Penthesilea unique. Now, of course, you also have slightly different royal decrees. The structure is the same, just some of the bonuses have been changed to feature more Amazonian bonuses. In the case here, we see a lot of initiation right discount for cavalry units, whereas this used to be a different set of bonuses for the gold. I believe this was the heavy units, this was the light unit, and this was the medium unit. And now some of these just have changed in terms of what you have. So medium infantry still matters, but there's not many heavy units here. So instead, we're just going to get a bunch of cavalry bonuses. So that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this very quick preview of what's new and different about Penthesilea. And we'll come back later today where we will take a deep dive into her skill tree and some of the items she started out with, as well as another video where we will break down all these units, take a look at them on the battlefield, take a look at their art, and hopefully you guys will get to know this faction well, as I do plan to play a Let's Play on it, and I hope you guys will find some fun with this as well, since Horde Factions is definitely something new for most of you who come from Three Kingdoms or just joined Troy for the first time for a Total War franchise. So until next time, bye!